Have you noticed something strange happening lately? More and more men are saying they'd rather stay single than step into the dating world. But why? Is it fear of rejection? Is it frustration with modern women? Or is there something deeper, something hidden in today's dating culture that no one dares to talk about? Because here's the truth, men aren't walking away from love. They're walking away from what dating has become. And once you understand the real reason, it will completely change the way you see modern relationships. Modern dating has changed dramatically. What once was a simple process of meeting someone, building a connection, and slowly growing into a relationship now feels more like a battlefield. Apps have turned people into options. Social media has raised expectations to almost impossible standards. And shifting gender roles have left both men and women asking the same question: what does the other side really want anymore? More and more men are deciding they don't want to play this game at all. They're walking away, not just from casual dating, but sometimes from relationships entirely. Now here's the question that matters: are men simply giving up on love? Or are they responding to something deeper, something hidden beneath the surface of female psychology, attraction dynamics, and the way modern society has reshaped intimacy? That's exactly what we're unpacking today. You'll not only understand why men are making this choice, but also what it reveals about both men and women in today's world. 1. Fear of rejection and high standards. Let's start with the first and most obvious reason: rejection. For men, rejection doesn't just sting, it cuts deeper. Why? Because men are usually the ones expected to initiate. They're the ones sending the first message, approaching in public, asking for the number, planning the date. Every attempt is a gamble, and every no feels personal. Now here's where psychology comes in. Rejection isn't cruelty, it's instinct. Women have always been wired to filter. Think of it as a survival mechanism. Across history, women didn't just choose partners for attraction alone, they chose based on competence, stability, and the ability to provide. Those instincts still live on today, even if society has changed. So when a man approaches without the right signals of competence, security, or status, the filter activates, often unconsciously. Take dating apps, for example. A man might swipe on 50 women, match with 3, message all of them, and get silence in return. To him, it feels like a harsh rejection. But to her, it wasn't personal at all, it was her instincts filtering for qualities she may not even be aware she's filtering for. Rejection in modern dating is less about you as a man, and more about the psychology of choice and competition. The dating market is an ecosystem shaped by biology, technology, and social dynamics. And when men don't understand this, every unanswered message feels like proof they're not good enough, when in reality, it's proof of how powerful psychology is in shaping attraction. 2. Changing gender roles. Now let's talk about one of the biggest sources of confusion in modern dating: gender roles. A lot of men feel like they're standing on shifting ground. For decades, the script was clear: the man leads, he pays, he protects, he provides. But in today's world, that script has been torn apart and rewritten, over and over again. So men are left asking, what role am I supposed to play? If I pay for dinner, am I showing respect, or am I being old-fashioned? If I lead and take charge, am I being confident, or controlling? If I show vulnerability, am I being emotionally open, or am I suddenly less attractive? Here's where female psychology adds another twist. Many women today genuinely want equality, they want to be seen as independent, strong, and capable. But at the very same time, they still unconsciously desire traditional masculine traits: leadership, decisiveness, and the ability to provide. It's not hypocrisy, it's dual wiring. On the surface, modern values push for balance, but underneath, primal instincts still shape attraction. Take a look at this: a man takes a woman out on a date. He offers to pay, trying to show he's invested. She insists on splitting, and he respects her wishes. But later, she feels something subtle, like he wasn't quite man enough to take charge. He walks away confused, wondering, what did I do wrong? This is the no-win zone men feel trapped in. No matter what choice they make, it seems to backfire. And when men realize the rules keep changing, with no clear way to succeed, many withdraw. Not because they don't care about women, but because they're tired of playing a game where the goalposts move every time they step onto the field. 3. Risk versus reward. Now here's a question most men secretly ask themselves: is dating even worth the risk anymore? Modern dating often feels like a gamble where the odds are stacked against them. The risks aren't just emotional, they're financial, social, and even legal. A man can invest months of his time, his energy, his money into a relationship, and still end up heartbroken, drained, or worse, trapped in a system that feels unforgiving. Women, by nature, often seek security and commitment, that deep sense that a partner will stand by them, protect them, and provide stability. It's a natural drive, rooted in survival and care for the future. But men look at today's climate and think, what if I give my all, and it still gets taken from me? Take divorce courts, for example. Many men see stories of fathers losing custody battles, or men losing half their assets, and it shapes their perception of risk. Add to that the social narrative around toxic masculinity, where even showing traditional masculine traits can sometimes be labeled negatively. For many men, it feels like they're walking through a minefield, one wrong step and everything they've worked for could collapse. So when men compare the risks to the rewards, the math often doesn't add up. If the cost of dating outweighs the benefit, the logical choice, for many, is to step back. Not out of bitterness. Not because they don't want love. But because self-preservation kicks in. And when survival instincts say, protect yourself, men listen. 4. Emotional burnout. Another reason men are stepping back is sheer exhaustion, what I call emotional burnout. Modern dating feels like running a marathon with no finish line. Men put in the effort, sending messages, trying to be witty, planning dates, making the first move, only to be met with silence or rejection again and again. After a while, the pursuit itself becomes draining, like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. On the other side, explains why this imbalance exists. Women today are bombarded with attention. A single woman on a dating app can receive hundreds of messages in just a few days. It's overwhelming. And because of this, women are forced to filter aggressively. They don't respond to most men, not because those men are worthless, but because the sheer volume makes it impossible to engage with everyone. Here's the imbalance in action: one man might spend hours crafting the perfect message, only to get ignored. Meanwhile, one woman might log in and find 100 unread messages waiting for her before she's even finished breakfast. To her, it's noise. To him, it's discouragement. Men begin to feel like dating isn't worth the energy. They start to wonder, why should I keep chasing when the odds are stacked against me? This imbalance, too much attention on one side, too little return on the other, pushes many men to the same conclusion: it's easier to stop playing the game than to keep running on empty. 5. Men redefining fulfillment. And finally, here's the most overlooked reason men are walking away: they're redefining what fulfillment means. Many men are realizing they don't need dating or relationships to feel whole. Instead of chasing validation through constant pursuit, they're turning inward. They're channeling energy into fitness, hobbies, career goals, brotherhood, travel, or self-development. In other words, they're building lives that feel rewarding without the approval of a partner. Now here's where female psychology comes in. Some women may interpret this shift as avoidance: he's afraid of commitment, or he just doesn't want responsibility. But in reality, it's something different. It's men prioritizing peace, freedom, and control over their own lives. When a man no longer ties his self-worth to whether or not he's chosen by women, he reclaims his power. Think of a man who, instead of spending nights swiping on apps and chasing half-hearted replies, decides to invest in his career, travel the world, or master a skill. He's no longer stuck in the cycle of rejection and disappointment. Instead, he finds fulfillment in progress, achievement, and personal growth. This isn't about men hating women or giving up on love. It's about men recognizing that dating, at least in its current form, doesn't define their value. By stepping away, they're not running from intimacy. They're running toward freedom, toward purpose, toward lives that can't be shaken by a single bad date or unanswered text. And that shift changes everything. So, let's put all of this together. Men aren't necessarily giving up on women, they're giving up on a dating system that feels broken. A system where rejection is constant, roles are confusing, risks feel too high, and emotional burnout is real. Instead of battling against it, more and more men are simply choosing peace. But what does that mean in real life? For women, it's about understanding that when men step back, it's not always rejection of you, it's often rejection of the exhausting game. If you value connection, show appreciation for effort. Create a space where authenticity matters more than status or performance. When men feel safe to show up as themselves, without fear of being dismissed or shamed, it changes the entire dynamic. For men, the takeaway is powerful: focus on self-improvement, protect your boundaries, and don't chase connection from a place of scarcity. Work on your health, your mindset, your passions, become the kind of man who doesn't need validation to feel valuable. And here's the paradox: when you stop desperately seeking, you actually attract healthier, more genuine relationships. The key insight here? The shift we're seeing isn't about men losing interest in women. It's about both genders learning to adapt to new expectations. Women are navigating the duality of independence and traditional desires, while men are redefining fulfillment beyond dating. The future of relationships won't be about returning to old roles, it'll be about evolving together into something more balanced, honest, and sustainable. Let's wrap this up. Men don't avoid dating because they don't want love. Deep down, almost every man still craves connection, intimacy, and partnership. But when the modern dating landscape starts to feel like a losing game, where rejection is constant, roles are unclear, risks feel stacked against them, and effort rarely pays off, it's no surprise that many step back. It's not about quitting on love. It's about protecting their peace. But here's the question for you: do you think men are justified in stepping back from dating, or are they giving up too easily? I want to hear your perspective, because your experiences, whether you're a man or a woman, help build this conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this opened your eyes, if it gave you a new perspective on dating psychology, then do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss these deep dive breakdowns.